Okay, we have a lot on the docket today, so I will dive in right away. Thank you everyone for being here today and to allow us to start this first of a monthly series of Women in Agriculture conversations. So today we're going to be doing a project overview of the National Women in Agriculture and Agri-Food Network project that CARC, as well as various stakeholders across the industry, have just completed over the last year. Also, I wanted to do a quick housekeeping that this will be recorded and placed onto our online community, as well as we do have some translation tool. It is an AI translation tool. It should be activated and you would just have to follow the instructions that we will put into the chat. If you have any questions, by all means, send it through the Q&A and as well as the chat. So just a quick agenda. So we will just welcome everyone and then we'll go into different parts of the project. I switched it up a little bit by order. So we will talk about the research highlights that we just completed, as well as go into the funding for community events that we did. And lastly, we'll go into the action plan for a national organization for women in agriculture. Again, there will be a Q&A at the end, so if you'd like to use the Q&A function, please do so. So quickly before we dive in, I do want to do a land acknowledgement. Canada is the home of more than 600 First Nations who have governed and managed these lands since the beginning of time. The Canadian Agriculture Human Resource Council gratefully acknowledges that we work throughout the lands of these First Nations and that our office is located on the unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. Just a quick overview of who we are, if you're not familiar with CARC. We are a national nonprofit organization addressing the HR needs of the agriculture industry as a whole, everywhere from farmers and ranchers and agribusinesses. We are completely led by industry stakeholders, and we are the Center for Reliable Research in Agriculture LMI, and an access point for customized solutions related to HR management. And we also have a leadership program for women in agriculture. Just a quick overview of our vision, mission, and mandate. Everything we do is in collaboration across the industry. We do really believe that by working together and providing services and training for all across the sector, that will be working for the greater good of everyone. So quick dive into the project as a whole. So before I do that, I guess I can introduce myself. My name is Rebecca Balston. I am the Stakeholder Engagement Manager here at CARC. I was also the project lead for this National Women in Agriculture and Agri-Food Network project over the last year. This is very near and dear to my heart because I'm also a dairy farmer in Western Quebec. And so being able to work with women across the industry was so eye-opening, and it was definitely a labor of love in a sense. So the three deliverables that we did through this project is we worked together through stakeholders and grassroots organizations and put together a steering committee of women across all of the provinces in Canada, so from BC right on to Newfoundland, and all these women worked together to start developing an action plan that would help I guess, drive a national organization for women in agriculture, which would be the first of its kind. The second part of the project that we did is we did some research, which was able to be directly compared to research that we did in 2015. So that was a decade of data that we were able to dive into, and we'll explain that a little further. And the last thing that we did is created a funding for regional events across Canada, which we were able to fund 22 events that brought in over 800 women to train and I guess network across and create things in their community. So I'm going to skip over to part 2, which is the research, which I will hand it over to Jennifer Wright, who is the Executive Director here at CARC.
Thanks so much, Rebecca, and thanks everyone for joining us today. Really looking forward to talking about a bit of this research. As Rebecca mentioned, we conducted research in 2015 looking at where women in agriculture were from a leadership perspective, what some of those barriers may be and moving forward, and kind of some solutions and recommendations that came from that work. So in 2025, we took another look back using the same survey tool for the most part as what we used in 2015, just to see what's been happening. I think, it's been 10 years, and when you're out and about, you definitely see more women involved in the industry, but we wanted to, go and put some data towards what we're seeing and see what's working, see where advancement's happening, and then identify where we still need to do some work. So for this survey, I went out across Canada to all stakeholders across the value chain. We had 463 responses, 92% of which were women, which is always interesting because, we always want everyone contributing to the conversation. And, the more that we have the full perspective, the better. So always looking for more participation across the board as well. We did do a survey, as I mentioned. We validated some of that information we were hearing and some of the findings through focus groups, interviews, and an environmental scan. And again, the focus really was the whole value chain from a primary production side right into agribusiness. And we did look at leadership roles in both associations as well as on farm and in agribusiness or larger corporations. And I'll just turn it over to two of our supporters. We were very, very pleased to have the support of Farm Credit Canada in supporting this work. And I thought it would be a good opportunity for both Syngenta and Farm Credit Canada to share a little bit about why they were interested in supporting this research. And I'll turn it to Stefan first to get the FCC perspective.
Well, thank you very much, Jennifer. Making sure everybody can hear me. Yes. See me? Yes. Excellent. Well, good afternoon, everybody. As Jennifer mentioned, I'm Stefan Paley. I'm an industry relations manager with Farm Credit Canada. And on behalf of FCC, it's absolutely an honor to be here today and to be part of this important conversation. At FCC, we're committed to building a stronger and more equitable agriculture and food industry. And we know that when women lead, mentor, and innovate, the entire industry benefits. And that's why we're so proud to support CARC's survey, from the field to the boardroom, women driving change in Canadian agriculture. I've been involved with this since it started and quite proud to get it to this point here. So thank you, CARC, for allowing us to come alongside you. The findings in the survey, they give us a clear, data-driven picture where the progress is being made and where challenges still remain, right? We learned from the survey that now 31% of on-farm workers are women, and more women are graduating from post-secondary programs and entering different types of the agriculture value chain, which is awesome to see. Yet, there's still been underrepresented in positions of leadership, including those on elected boards, associations, statutory boards, and government. So while also faced with persistent barriers like limited access to established networks and the challenge of balancing work and caregiving at home. But at FCC, we believe that knowledge like this learned in the survey, it helps the industry take action. So whether it's creating leadership opportunities, improving access to resources, or designing programs that reflect the realities women face. And one way that we contribute it is FCC's Women Entrepreneur Program. Since that program was launched in 2019, we've approved more than 4,700 loans to women, totaling a total of $3.6 billion. That's pretty incredible. And these investments help women producers and entrepreneurs, help them grow their businesses and strengthen the communities that help shape the future of agriculture. Supporting the survey is part of that same commitment. When women succeed in ag, the industry becomes more innovative, resilient, and competitive. So thank you, CARC, for leading this inspiring work, important work. And to all of you who are being part of the conversation about driving change in Canadian agriculture. We're proud to be here. We're proud to represent the industry. And if you'd like to know more about FCC or any of our work, please reach out to me after this call. Thanks, Jennifer. Thanks, Rebecca.
Great. Thanks so much, Stefan. And again, thank you to you and to FCC for supporting this really important work. Christina Stroud, I'll turn it over to you to hear from Syngenta's perspective.
Thanks. Great numbers, Stefan. Great words. And I have to say, I'm the reason that the agenda got shifted, because I ended up having a conflict that popped up, but I got the conflict moved, Rebecca. So, but I didn't want to mix up. I just found out, this morning that it got moved, so I can stay till the end. But I appreciate you moving the agenda around. So for Syngenta, we've got DEI has always been a focus area for us, and one of our areas around women in agriculture I'm responsible for at Syngenta, leading it both internally and externally. And we're a very relationship focused organization. So working with CARC, like there's already great work being done. So we want to make sure we're supporting it and aligning. It doesn't have to be Syngenta alone doing the work. I think we get more out of all of our efforts if we're partnership focused. And, we're a science-based organization. We love our data, right? So for us to support research as well as the events and participating, we like having the data that's going to back and show improvement, and making sure that where we're putting our efforts are supporting the population that it's intended to support. We also do our own survey. We just finished up a survey for women within Syngenta, and we've got 50% of our population at Syngenta are women. On our leadership team, we've got 40% are women on our leadership team. And so we did our own internal survey, and it's great for us to compare, like, are there common barriers? And so that when we look at what we're trying to do internally, it's also supporting, we can also look to support externally. So a lot of our women in our organization are also farm women. So, the results from this survey align with what we're hearing at Syngenta in many ways. So we like to be able to compare and contrast and make sure that the efforts that we're contributing to are supporting the organization at large. It also really helps us when we look at thought leadership areas. So when we're doing our government relations work and advocacy work, and we do a lot of that, we can pull in information and stats that make it very meaningful and realistic. And certainly we found with the government, current government, and definitely part of our approach is to make sure that we're giving very specific examples and using data rather than it being high-level requests and high-level asks, that we really get to a granular level. And so, the having the data to back what we're asking for, and being able to demonstrate some of the efforts through the events and networking give us very real examples that enable us to sort of propel some of our advocacy efforts forward. And also, I think just there's the more you can stay aligned and collaborate on things, the stronger we are together, right? No one organization or individual is going to make the change that we need when it comes to women in agriculture. So that's definitely part of our motivation in supporting and engaging with CARC, and taking advantage of the research and the data that's there.
Great. Thanks so much, Christina. And thank you as well to Syngenta for that support. It is certainly a key foundational piece of how CARC approaches the work that we do. It's collaboration, it's better together, and we wouldn't be able to move forward with a lot of these initiatives without the support of organizations like Syngenta and Farm Credit Canada. So very much appreciate that. We'll just give a little bit of highlight. The report is online. You'll be able to find it and kind of go through it in detail. But thought we would just highlight some of the key findings. As we said from the beginning, and as Christina and Stefan both referenced, there's been some improvement, which is really fantastic. We're seeing improvement from key decision makers. More women are in those key decision maker roles. We're seeing more women come into the board chair roles as well as moving into the VP and vice chair roles across organizations and associations. But similar to what we heard in 2015, there's still a little bit happening around breaking into the old boys club. preconceived perceptions of capability, and then balancing career and family. So what that means is the leadership pipeline is growing, and I was really involved in the 2015 research. I was the lead consultant at the time on that research, and was very interesting at that time to see that women coming into the industry, they were, you know, I think it was around 50% of the, or maybe a little 30% was women making up the agriculture workforce. But then as we looked up the line, there was a drop off at middle management, where the percentage or the proportion of women in those roles really dropped off. We're seeing in this that that is changing and shifting, which is really great, and that leadership pipeline is starting to grow, but we're still underrepresented, so that we still need to do some work in ensuring that we're engaging everyone in that leadership conversation and developing everyone in the leadership roles. Education is strong. Again, even in 2015, we were seeing that there was a lot of women involved in post-secondary degrees, not maybe as many in agriculture specific degrees, and we're seeing that grow as well, which is really great. We want to ensure that we're engaging women that have those degrees in the industry and keeping them in the industry and keeping them in the workforce throughout their careers. And, you know, one thing for us to consider is that compared to our 2015 findings, young women are the ones are more likely to report barriers to their growth and to their career paths than older women in the survey. So something as employers and as an industry we need to think about is like making sure again that we're engaging everyone and looking to everyone for their you know, career growth and showing them paths that they see themselves growing within our industry as well. So there's lots more to talk about. We could talk all day probably about the data and the research and all that kind of stuff. But as Rebecca said at the beginning, we did do a lot of other things in this project as well. And this research really did help inform the action plan that we'll talk about at the end of the webinar. So here's a link to the report. Lots of great information there. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. And if you want, you know, to hear a bit more about this research or have us come and speak at an event or share that information with your members more, we're happy to do that as well. But for now, I will leave you to read the report after the webinar and turn it back over to Rebecca.
Thank you, Jennifer. All right, so we'll go into the next part, which is around the events itself. So the event fund supported over 890 women across 10 provinces. Some of the event types was Give Her the Gears, which is the machinery tractor driving and safety training program, and as well as mini conferences. So there were networking, and also learning about farm finance, succession, and mental health, and as well as some leadership programs. Before I dive in too much about the events, I do want to pull Patience Palmer and Charlotte Wall into the conversation, as they were really big supporters of the events themselves and helping select which events went ahead. So I will turn it over to Patience for a few insights from your side of it.
Thank you, Rebecca. Hi, everyone. So I tasked to share a bit about the selection process, and then what exactly we are looking for when we are reviewing the application. So I'll get right into it. So usually for the selection process, or even before, a call is made for event proposals or applications. Deadlines are given by which the applications should or must be received. And when these applications come in, they are made available to all the members of the steering committee. We have a scorecard that we go by to serve as a guide when we are scoring or reviewing the event proposals. So the main things that we are looking for in the proposals are an outline, or that the proposals or the event should have a dynamic design that is meant to empower women in agriculture. by fostering professional connection. So the event proposal should provide some substantial opportunities for women to be able to connect and collaborate and also build professional relationships. The proposals should also be able to deliver impactful education and training, preferably hands-on training. So we are looking at workshops, speakers, and hands-on experience sharing. We're also looking for event proposals that seek to build lasting partnerships with local businesses, because one of the pillars or support from the network is to use the funding as leverage to be able to support local businesses to help them to thrive. The other thing also is we want to see involvement with partnerships that will help women as they thrive to become leaders, to become innovators, and also collaborators. So there should be that potential that is highlighted in the proposals of significant and lasting impact for positive impact in local agriculture community, as well as the overall women's involvement in the industry. So we have a trace mark that we have to be able to select these event proposals. And also we try as much as possible to have representation from all the provinces in the country. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Patience. And I'll turn it over to you, Charlotte.
Thank you, Rebecca. Now that Patience has told you how we picked, let's talk for a little moment about why this isn't so important. So, events are something I am very passionate about. So, thank you to CARC for inviting me to be part of this group and to speak today. The Poultry Industry Council is a nonprofit charity, and we focus on education, extension, and events. Networking at events is a crucial piece of building your support system and your network. And hearing today that over 890 women were included in events is absolutely amazing. If you're new to a farming business or you've not lived in a rural setting before, you'll need to find a way to bridge the gap from living in a community to being part of the community. Some people will join a baseball team. Others will attend a group that share a common belief with them. An agricultural business is no different. When people gather together, they'll bond over common shared experiences, struggles, and victories. Often it is small events with specific topics that find these like-minded people in the same room who have traveled possibly a long distance to get together. This is where we see the magic happen. These are the moments that foster these organic conversations where we actually hear, we listen, and we learn by way of hearing those stories that often resonate with our own lives. Doing this, we will create connection. And some of these might last a year, and other connections will last for generations. As the saying goes, it might not be what you know, but who you know. And attending events within your community or communities around will help you grow your network. And we need to remember that that is valuable. And we need to invest in the resource of our network. Sadly, when it comes to women in business, and yes, that certainly applies to agricultural business, probably more than others, you will have a lot of urgent tasks. These will pop up literally from the field to the boardroom and everywhere in between. Today, you all managed to get to this webinar and put it on the to-do list, and I congratulate you for that. We hope that you continue to grow this momentum. Join again in a future webinar, learn another piece. CARC and many of the other speakers you'll hear from today are here to help support you along the way. So reach out, get connected, and join an event.
Great. Thank you so much, Charlotte. I could not have ever said that better than that. And it's so true. The networking events are so vital to women growing in the industry. So just a quick few slides, and there's some great photos here from the events that were supported by CARC's event fund. So again, just kind of echoing off of what Patience has said about how it worked. It was community-led, small grant funding. There was an evaluation scorecard, just making sure that there was networking involved, there was growing of skills, that there was a budget involved. Local business involvement is huge for these kind of networking events because we want to see longevity happen. And we can't do that without local business support. And then also just to keep that going and expand the scope. So again, the events were all driven by community, so none were the same. Nothing looked the exact same. Some were driving tractors and some were in more of those formal conferences, as you can see in these photos. So some success stories. We had some great feedback. One of them was from an organizer in Ontario that said the conversations in the room started immediately and didn't finish until the last person left, and even beyond that. So I've actually received some feedback from that organizer since, and there was one young woman that was hired not too long after their networking event. So just being able to expand your network business side of that is amazing to see. We also saw that students in the beef sector met a lot of potential mentors, and the networking goals exceeded at multiple events. We had asked that the events would be anywhere from 20 to 40 people, and some of them were even larger than that. Also, a long-term impact is increasing the leadership confidence and visibility of women, strengthening those rural networks like Charlotte had said, and then also ensure that there's sustainability moving forward so these events can keep happening. So how, sorry, these are a little further. I'll go to the next one, come back to that one. Okay, so the last part, we're going to skip back to the beginning, which would be the action plan. So the action plan itself from this National Women in Agriculture organization, we were hoping that the network would help advance women and diversity in agriculture. It was focused on both the system, women, and organization levels. And then there was also a target to increase women's representation on boards and secure more funding for women-led businesses. So you can really see where that research is helping to inform this national organization. So before I dive in too much about the action plan, I did want to turn it over to two of the representatives on the steering committee for this part of the project. We had Laura Lazo from the Manitoba Women in Agriculture and Food, as well as Lori Lone that was representing PEI through the PEI Agriculture Sector Council. So Laura, I'd like for you to kind of kick it off and kind of give your 2 cents on the action plan and the work that we've done as a committee.
Thank you, Rebecca. My vision for this organization involves 2 things. One is unity among all of us. It's really very important. And even when there are differences in perspectives and so on, I see those differences as assets and opportunities rather than barriers. And we need that unity because, at least the way I see it, we need to become a full-fledged organization, fully recognized as an industry member. We need to be recognized almost as though we are a commodity association or a company, because we are a key resource, because we are human resources to everyone that works in this sector. So just let me go to, I remember one time I was speaking with the CEO of a company and trying to engage the company in an activity that we had. And he said that the cause was honorable cause, and he did not engage with us. So this is something that I've seen many times before. You know, what we do as women, as an organization of women, is something nice, like a bonus, something that other companies can join when the times are good. But it's not like that. We are essential for the industry. And we know that those economies that enable all peoples to express their talents, they do better. They're more innovative and they're more competitive. Whereas those economies that suppress a particular group don't. So the way that I see it, and not everybody will agree with this, is that we are a full-fledged organization, we have employees, and we have a steady income. Most of us work as volunteers, and while we work as volunteers, we can only achieve so much. So we need to reach a point that we are through unity, we can have an income stream that will fund the employees that we need to achieve the bigger goals. That's it.
Great. Thank you so much, Laura. And I'll pass it over to you, Lori, for a few words.
Well, I think first of all, I'd like to thank Rebecca and Jennifer for going after the funding to even make this possible for us to start this across Canada, have these open, transparent conversations about our future, what we need from agriculture, and where we find our seat in agriculture as women. And as we've had a few of the other guest speakers, I started taking notes as what I thought was super important as a woman, especially that I grew up in agriculture and went into education and business and then back to agriculture. So I kind of look at things a little bit differently. But for FCC to bring up the fact that they fund $3.6 billion to women entrepreneurs, hats off to you guys, because that's amazing. The opportunities for growth and development, which is what we need in this industry. And for Syngenta to have 40% of women in leadership, your company is certainly going in the right direction. So again, thanks to you guys for putting women as a priority and trying to build the network. One of the things that Laura said was unity. And I think that's key on the direction of where we want to go with this. We came up with a plan, and thanks, Rebecca, for leading that plan and helping us along the way. We developed and validated an action plan. We then conducted research about leadership, women's roles in leadership across Canada. And then I know myself here, I hosted multiple events on PEI for women. We wouldn't have been able to do that without funding from this to be able to grow it. And it's about that networking opportunity that women need. And I believe it was Christina that said, about women getting together and building the organization. But when we have these opportunities that we can bring all these women together, like-minded women that are looking for a place to have a voice, we're building that community of agriculture. And that's where we can make changes for women that we're currentently working with, and women that are sitting in grade 6 right now looking for opportunities in agriculture as we grow. So I'm really excited that we're taking this action. I can't wait to see our action plan develop even further with direction from CARC and building it. And I'm super excited about where the future goes as we continue to build it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lori. And thank you so much for highlighting some of the things that have already been said today. It is so important to kind of look at that data and see not only the room that we've grown, but where we could go from here. So to go into the action plan itself, the strategic priorities, were definitely put into 3 kind of specific topics. So that we had the system focus, which was to really partner with organizations, influence policy, and promote those EDI efforts that help women grow in leadership. We also wanted to look at women focus specifically. We know that there needs to be outreach happen. We need to know that we can address unconscious bias, not only from ourselves, but also from others, and then also remove those advancement barriers. And then the last kind of focus area would be around that organization, which is to strengthen capacity, create a centralized resource hub, which we are working on a website for this National Women in Agriculture initiative, as well as trying to build out an online community for everyone to come to see the resources, but also to chat between each other. And you'll be able to see kind of who is closer to you and start building out that network, as well as ensuring that we have provincial representation with this national organization and some ad hoc spaces as well on a board once that becomes to that point, just to know that it's not just going to be provincially focused, that there is room for others to join as well. So some of the outcomes and success measures is really to increase women on boards and in the vice president or chair roles, more women completing leadership training programs. Like CARC has a leadership program that you can join. We also have some funding available for those that find that that is a financial barrier to those training programs. And I can send some links after the webinar today. And then also we have a broader national collaboration on diversity initiatives. So here's a great way, like I had said, that there's an online platform. A great way to get involved is to join CAR Connect. We have this link, or this QR code is specific to a National Women in Agriculture initiative, and the action plan is on that network right now. So if you wanted to look through it a little bit more in depth, we'll also be starting these monthly national conversation series. So today was really the kickoff of showing what the project is as a whole. And then next month, we are going to have some speakers on invisible work. So a really great topic to dive into. Again, access that action plan, and then to network and broaden the contacts you have in the industry. Again, there's ways to kind of see who is in that network that is close to you. So great way to connect. So before I go into the discussion and Q&A, I did want to say a huge thank you, not only to everybody that came to speak today and all of you that have become involved by being part of this event today, but also to Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada, who provided the funding for this project, which felt like 3 projects in one. But without that funding, we would never have been able to kind of get the ball rolling on this initiative. And we know that it doesn't stop after a year. There's so much more that work that needs to be done. And again, would also like to have a huge shout out to those that funded and supported this initiative, which is Agriculture to Quebec, Farm Credit Canada, the Do More Ag Foundation, Farm Management Canada, Lethbridge Polytechnic, Poultry Industry Council, Syngenta, and Kane. So without all of your support and all the support from the steering committee as well, we would never have been able to do this. So now is the time to turn it over to all of you. Does anybody have any questions or would like to ask some of the speakers some questions? Now's your time. There is the Q&A section, or you can use the chat, whatever works. And I did see some people in the chat were asking for links. There are a few links in there for the research, and we can also link the action plan, or you can look at the QR code for that national platform. There's somebody that asked if they can speak to women farming in the Outaouais, Pontiac, and Western Quebec. I would be happy to chat to you about that, as I am in the Pontiac. And then, yeah, if you have any other questions, by all means, shoot. I'm seeing people are already joining the network, so it's great. I can actually go back to that too if you missed the QR code. So thank you. Any of the other speakers, do you have anything to add kind of at the end of this? Jennifer, do you have anything to add to the project? Or?
I'm happy to ask a question if I'm able. I'm just curious, Jennifer or Rebecca, if either one of you could speak with the research from the survey, what would have been the biggest surprise or the aha that you didn't see coming? Can you speak to, I appreciate I've been putting you on the spot, so.
That's a really good question. I don't know. I mean, I had a sense before the survey that we'd have some good news, that we would be able to measure some progress. I would say that probably for me, the younger women still feeling like they're the bigger group facing barriers. That was a bit of a surprise to me. And certainly, you know, something that I think as an industry we need to really pay attention to, because that's our pipeline. And so the more we can do to engage young women, be aware of the bringing them into the conversation, making sure that when we're recruiting, that we're opening up those recruitments to everyone and, tapping people on the shoulder and saying, hey, have you thought about this, or whatever it might be. Paying attention, I think, to young people in general in the workforce, but making sure that the young women feel like they can see themselves moving forward. There is a place for them. For me, that was a bit of a surprise. One area that we didn't talk about, that we didn't ask about actually last time in 2015 was how's the digital world helping with women in the workforce as well, and having those opportunities into leadership. And so that was an interesting question to ask. And the response was interesting, I would say, where yes, and it probably what a lot of us feel, where it provides more options, it provides more flexibility and all of that kind of thing, but then and improves opportunities. I think in general it was very positive, but we all feel that now we can't disconnect. And so as we look for that workforce balance,
Right.
work-life balance, and want to make sure that for the whole workforce that we're kind of striving for that balance, we do have to be aware of, it's great that we can work from home, but and it's great that we can be on our phones and connect all the time, but we need to ensure that we pay attention to that work-life balance for all of us as well.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Yeah.
Thanks for the question. So there's a question in the chat. What opportunities are providing young female students to learn more about diversity initiatives? So I can speak a little bit about one of our programs here at CARC. We do have something called Growing Opportunities, which is I guess a wage subsidy program for young people in post-secondary education to be able to work in agriculture. So there is some extra support there, and we do try to connect a lot with post-secondary institutes as well, to show people that there are so many great careers. If you can look at Syngenta and FCC as one as well, that there's longevity there, and show them that it's not always the stereotypical person on a tractor or in a farm setting, that you can have a career outside of that, because it's important. It's important to have farmers, but it's also important to have those supports surrounding us to be able to do the jobs that we do. So that's one of them. I'm not sure if there's a hand up. So Christina, if you want to speak on that as well, you can go ahead.
No, sorry. Mine actually is going back to something Jennifer said, but so finish up. Yeah.
Okay, so that's just one of those initiatives. What we would like to do with having kind of that online website and that online platform is to be able to start speaking about the different initiatives that are out there, not just CARC. We want all of them to be available, so that regardless of which province you're in or where you are, that you'll be able to access those resources. Hopefully that answers your question. And Christina, I'll send over to you.
Yeah, just a thought, just a comment on Jennifer, you're talking about the work-life balance and digital and turning it off. I know a way that we've sort of started to frame up work-life balance at Syngenta is it's really about work flexibility. So not framing up it as being a work day. It has to do with how are you able to be satisfied in your life commitments and your work commitments, and that may mean moving, creating more of a remote work environment, or giving people the opportunity to say, I'm gonna, be done at 4 because I have to go pick my kids up, but I might jump back on at 7 o'clock because I had something I didn't get to finish up. So it's more sort of meeting people where they are and giving them the flexibility to manage their lives in a supportive way, rather than it is. So it's just redefining sort of balance. So it's not based on like a work day kind of balance.
I think that's a really good point, Christina. Thanks for bringing that up. And I know one thing that we heard certainly in 2015, a little bit less maybe now, but also when you're framing the flexibility and talking to employees about what's available, it's about flexibility for everyone's life, for whatever they have that they need to balance. And you know, we're seeing more and more, certainly over the 10 years since we did our first round of research, you know, there's more parental leave available and things like that, but and elder care, there's more, you know, understanding of different pressures and different responsibilities outside of work that everyone has. But the more that those conversations, particularly around childcare, I would say are open to everyone and not just the women on your staff, I think is important as well. So that, you know, that it really does become parental leave. It does become, you know, a male employee can just as easily feel like they can say, I need to leave at 3 to pick my kids up from school as a female employee might be able to say that, or I'm going to be in late a little bit because I've got to get my kids in to school, whatever it might be. But again, just
Absolutely.
making sure that it's that broad range or that inclusive
Yeah.
conversation around the flexibility as well.
Yeah, I was on a call this morning, and it was with Sean Vey, our head of sales. So it was 8:30 his time, and our call was at 10:30. And he pinged me to say, "I'm going to be a few minutes late. I'm getting my kids out for the day off to camp."
Yeah.
You know, so it's you know, non-gender really family obligations, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. There's a few other questions in the chat. So there is a question about is there a plan involved in working with groups such as those helping more women farmers take on roles such as running for crop commission positions or for local governments such as rural municipalities and councils? It's a great question. There was a lot of conversation around how do we ensure that women feel that pathways to leadership on boards or municipalities and all of those things, how women are directed to that. Currently, some of the barriers that we've seen through focus groups was that you would need to be full-time on the farm in order to have a position on a board, especially in the agricultural space. And so just making that awareness that maybe some women are more off the farm or work. For instance, myself, I work full-time off the farm, I work full-time on the farm, but I can only claim my off farm as full-time, where the on the farm, they consider me part-time. So that does become a barrier to boards. So being able to have that information out there and prevalent in front of organizations, I think will help with the pathways. And then also just by having networks and having more women in leadership positions, showing those pathways will help, as well as build confidence in other women seeing almost themselves in those roles. So I think that's kind of that answer. Is there anybody else that has an answer on top of that, or?
No, I think you covered it really well, Rebecca, and that's some of the work that, like in our Women in Ag Leadership program, that we're trying to help develop those leadership skills and those skills in creating those pathways and knowing how to connect in with those opportunities as well. We have had conversations around creating really specific training for going for boards or going for the commissions as well. So that may be something from a professional development point of view that we look at in the future as well. But I think you summed it up really well, Rebecca.
Perfect. So I'll go down to the next question. Thoughts on mobilizing more support across sector organizations to reduce systemic barriers for women. So kind of a little bit there where we just talked about that. Also organizations representing ag interests to government, noting that sector organization boards of directors are male dominated for sure. So again, it's building up women, creating some more training opportunities, and then creating a network where you can discuss how to develop your skills and your confidence.
Mm-hmm. And we do have some tools that were developed actually in 2015 and still stand true on helping boards reach out and ensure that you're looking for new members or looking for more engagement, how you do, like ways that you can do that and reach beyond your normal circles, and some other guidelines and ideas to support addressing some of these barriers. And I think those are still available on our website. If not, I can make sure that we have them included in what Rebecca sends out as well.
Thank you. The next question was, how do our female readers get involved? Are there more webinars, events, and so forth planned? Yes. So I plan to do these national conversations. They're going to be very laid back. You can listen from the cab of the combine or on the road if you'd like to. This will probably be the one that has a deck and a presentation, but the ones coming up will have a little bit more laid back and some of those conversations. Like I said, next month we are definitely talking about invisible work, the month after about mental health, and then we'll continue on those every month, and they'll be every third Thursday. So now that you have registered for this link, it is a series, so you will be notified when the next one comes up. All right, the next question, did you do any analysis of survey respondents based on intersecting identity and socio-demographic factors? Do you feel you were able to promote the survey broadly and reach underrepresented and marginalized groups in the sector? So one thing we did see through both the focus groups as well as through some of the individual interviews was that most people were hearing about this research and about the project through Facebook groups. And so I did try to make sure that I was in a large majority of them. Being a woman in agriculture myself, it's very easy to get into all of those conversations. So being able to promote what we were doing at the Facebook level and on those smaller groups, I think really did help. It's great that CARC is very connected with the agriculture industry as a whole. So being able to talk to all of the primary production groups and letting them know kind of what we're doing, as well as connecting with Agriculturistes du Québec, who, even though they're based in Quebec, they are looking at everything at a national lens as well. So making sure that we're not duplicating work and that we are getting down to the grassroots level. In the primary, there we go. In the primary ag, I really appreciate the courses you've been providing. Awesome. Thank you so much for that support as well, and being able to help us promote those programs. Somebody said, do you see on the slides about machinery training? Is that offered as a single location? So that was through the funding pool that we had. We do not have the funding currently, but are always looking for ways to collaborate with organizations or corporate sponsors in order to continue that work. And it is our hope that we'll continue to look for more and more funding streams so that we can provide that. Lori Lone was actually one that organized that at the PEI level, and great numbers, and she also had it in 2 different levels. And I love the wording of it, the turtle and the rabbit. So the turtle being for newcomers to driving machinery, as well as the rabbit to somebody that's been a little bit more established but wants to hone in on those skills. So we do have kind of a skeleton of what that should look like, so it can be plug and played into another community. So if you're looking for that, I would love to connect and we can chat. And the last question that I can see here, is there potential for the Canadian Federation of Agriculture to play a great role in this initiative, noting that they produce a level the field guide that was focused on raising the profile of women in the sector. So I have spoken directly with CFA, and they love the work and want to continue to support CARC and support what we're doing. And I think it would be great to have them involved more in the initiative. Perfect. So if there's no other questions, it looks like we'll have a few minutes before I do let you go. I just wanted to say how everything kind of connects. So again, that research really helped identify the barriers and solutions that we can see for women in agriculture. That action plan really structures change and helps inform the initiative moving forward. And again, that event fund really activated change locally, and there was some great testimonials from that I can share as well. And again, next steps, join that national conversation series. You already have started that, and also to that national platform as well. I've seen a lot of people, notifications coming in that everybody is joining. So thank you all for helping build that up as well. And then we will also share the research as well. There's some links that are in the chat. And if there are no further questions, Again, I just want to say thank you to all of our speakers here today, as well as our funders. So thanks again to AAFC and to Farm Credit Canada, Syngenta, Agriculture and Quebec, Do More Ag Foundation, Farm Management Canada, Lethbridge Polytechnic, Poultry Industry Council, and CANE. So thank you all for coming.